I have a question for you. If you went into your local car dealership, your favourite car brand, and you wanted to buy a brand new petrol or diesel car that you saw like a few days ago or last week, but they turned around to you and said, I'm sorry, we only sell electric cars now, what would you do? Would you still consider one? And another thing to throw into the mix as well, would you still consider one if you had to pay road tax on it, or vehicle excise duty if we're going to be completely specific? Well, that is changing, and it's not for the better. Years ago, car manufacturers had this sort of vision where the future was going to be electric, and don't get me wrong, it probably still is going to be electric in the future, but you know, they kind of had this stance where they were saying, yes, we're going to go fully electric by this date. I mean, take Mercedes for example. Mercedes EQA, an interim electric car before serious push starts in 2025. That was in Forbes in 2021. Or according to The Verge, in 2030, they would only sell electric cars. But it's not just Mercedes-Benz, there's also Volkswagen. Volkswagen aims to knock Tesla out of top spot by 2025 in major EV push. That's quite ballsy. But then from all those statements from years ago, it just seems that they've retracted some of them or changed their stance a little bit. So it's not so much EV from every new car now. They kind of toned it back a bit. I don't know if you noticed. Yeah, we're not fully electric. I know we said we were, but we're not fully electric. So it's weird to see them do that. But that's not the only thing. Just you wait and hear what's happening with car tax in the UK. Now this one's a big one. You know how EVs, electric vehicles, used to be exempt from road tax? Yeah, now they're not. Oh, and before we get into this, I should add, yes, I know it's not officially called road tax, it's called VED, so Vehicle Exercise Duty to be specific, but I'm going to refer to it as road tax because everyone knows what that is. But yeah, now they are subject to road tax. Well, from the 1st of April 2025 anyway. Here's the rundown, and it does get a little bit confusing. So trying to keep this as simple as possible. Basically, it was completely free for EVs, no tailpipe emissions, emission-free, that sort of thing. But now they have to pay road tax. If it's a new EV, the first registration fee is £10. Now that obviously isn't that much considering the price of some of these cars out there. That just being included on the on-the-road price for the first year is neither here nor there. However, it's the renewal or the kind of road tax the year after when you come to actually renew it. This is going to be £195 a year. Pretty much the same price as a petrol or diesel car now. Now, if you currently own an EV, so if this is registered between the 1st of April 2017 to the 31st of March 2025, this is going to be £195 a year. And then finally, if it's a slightly older EV, so even older than that, so the exact date range is registered 1st of March 2001 to 31st of March 2017, you only need to pay £20. So that's kind of more like it, but oh man, £195, £190 for all newer EVs. I thought we were meant to be doing our part for the environment. It's frustrating to see. Now, I completely understand road tax and why it exists, but I just don't understand why it's £190, £195 for EVs going forward. That just makes no sense. Why can't it be more like £20 like the older EVs, or at the very most, just make it £50? It just needs to be somewhat cheaper than petrol or diesel. Do you know the annoying thing as well? That's not even the end of it. There's also the luxury premium tax. Yes, the one that's for cars list price over £40,000. That changes everything I just mentioned. Like this one, for example, this is a standard electric car. This is a Mercedes EQA. I think it might have one optional extra on it and maybe metallic paint, but it's well above £40,000. And yes, I know this is a premium car brand, but when it comes to electric cars, they are that much more expensive, and a lot of them do fall above £40,000. Do you know, it's literally an extra £3,000 over 5 years. Which I know you only pay it for 5 years, but it's £3,000. It's like £50 a month, like when you divide it, but it's just, I just don't get it at all. Do they not want us to switch to EVs? Also, light bulb moment, technically you can tax a car anywhere, you know, anywhere throughout the year, so there might be a bit of a loophole if you tax your car before the 1st of April 2025. I don't know, I don't own an EV, this EV isn't mine, I actually got it on loan at the moment, which is very, very kind, but you guys have to let me know. Try it in the comments. If you own an EV, try and tax your car before the 1st of April 2025, let me know in the comments if it works. I would love to get an EV, but the problem is, it just, as I said, it just makes it worse. There's another thing in the way now, another calculation that has to be factored in when you're looking at electric. But it's weird, there's this push for everyone to go electric by 2030, 2035, and yet there's these things being put in the way which just cause more issues. And you might be wondering, why is there still this push? Well, that's a thing called the ZEV mandate, or ZEV mandate. And it's a lot more important than you might think, even to the point where some car manufacturers might go bust because of it. It's a hot topic. Now, the mandate that we have for the UK is quite steep in my opinion. Have a listen to this. So in 2024, last year, all new cars sold had to be 22% electric. That number then changes to 28% this year. So basically, just to recap, that's all electric cars sold, registered, 28% must be electric. Next year, 2026, that jumps to 33%. 80% in 2030, and then finally in 2035, 100% of all new cars sold or registered, there's a slight difference but I won't get into that here, but they must be all fully electric. So that's 2035. But I know what you're thinking, what about if car manufacturers don't meet their targets or criteria? They get fined £15,000 per car. £15,000 fine per car sold, you know, that's not within that criteria. And some car manufacturers can buy credits and exchange them like that, but to be honest, that's just pushing the problem to next year, because then that percentage changes. So it's going to get really, really tricky, and I just think some car manufacturers are going to disappear off the face of the earth if something isn't sorted here. There needs to be some sort of incentive. Now, if you play your cards right, you can charge this car for around about £5. So EVs still do make a bit of sense in some scenarios. Let me know if you want me to make a video about it, pros and cons of living with an EV. I'll happily look at that in the future. But Euro 7 emissions are going to be even stricter than before. So rather than just looking at the tailpipe emissions, it's also going to look at tyre emissions, tyre pollutants with kind of bits coming off the tyres, and then also brakes as well, and even something to do with electric cars and how long they last as well. All for the greater good of the environmental impact that cars have. And there's just zero push from the government side now for us as consumers to actually want to get an EV. So my suggestions, I think there should be an incentive from the government for electric vehicles. So probably let's keep it new vehicles, whether it be a few £1,000s off or X% off, I don't know. It won't ever be as much as 20%, let's be real, because that will be some serious money off some cars out there. There should also be some reduced road tax, and it should just be less. It should be at least half. I don't think it should be the same, because that's just not right. And then there should also be, while we're at it, a home charge point incentive as well. The government used to offer that. There used to be like a rebate they used to get, and they've removed that as well. So just lessen. It's annoying. I like to be positive usually when I make videos, but this one's just, it's not. I was actually going to make a video for 2025. Is 2025 going to be the year of the electric car? It could well have been, but with these price hikes now, no, it won't be. There'll just be an even slower uptake. It's like they're trying to get rid of car manufacturers and they just don't want us to buy EVs. Honestly, the whole system needs rebuilding back up from the ground up, because not only is it really, really confusing, it's also very, very expensive, and even more expensive now for certain particular car owners. Well, guys, I'm curious to hear your thoughts. What would you do down below? Would you consider an EV this year with these changes? What would you like to change? I want to hear from you guys. I'm going to try and reply to all as I always do on my channel, so let me know. I'm curious to hear your thoughts. Huge shout out to Sandown Mercedes. They helped lend this EQA so I could make this video and get back behind the wheel of an electric car again, because they are great fun. They are good, but it's just making it that little bit more tricky. Thanks for watching, guys. See you next time.